So, folks, you guys have all collectively decided, hey, let's talk about how Donald Trump is making the country worse for everybody. If you're watching this video and you've stumbled across it because you're a conservative and you hate watch my channel, I understand. Hello, hi, welcome. We're also going to be talking about how Donald Trump is making the country worse for you and people like you, unless you're rich, in which case, you better buy some subs or donos. But let's get started, shall we? Let's get started. Okay. Because number one of the things that Donald Trump is doing to ruin America, we need to talk about it. All right. Because every single damn day, we get news stories about how Donald Trump is negotiating deals, massive trade deals with all of these countries. And he's going around and imposing 10, 15, 30, 125, 300% tariffs, whatever his little brain comes up with on these various countries. And then the media hails him as some kind of incredible genius for making these deals. Breaking news: the US will impose a 15% tariff on goods from the European Union, ending months of tense talks with America's biggest source of imports. Follow live updates. Thanks, New York Times. But I'm here to tell you guys, why are you guys all championing this? Why are you doing this? Why is the media, especially conservative media, hailing him, lauding him for these accomplishments when you guys realize he just imposed a 15% tax on you guys? You are the ones who pay the tariffs. You being all Americans. If you are an American, goods from the European Union just became 15% more expensive. You pay that tax. For the Republicans out there who are all like fiscal conservatives who want to lower their tax burden, he's passing a tax on you and you're all cheering him for it. I don't understand. He's making things so much more expensive for me, for you, and everybody else. What are you doing? That's not a genius move. He's just doing a flat tax on you, you dumb fucks. Like, why? Why are you all trying to give this man accolades for coming up with the idea of taxing you? For no reason. It's not a tax like to support our roads or a tax to do it. No, it's just a tax so that he can champion the tariff revenue that he's generating. That tariff revenue is from you guys. You are the ones paying the tariff, not these other countries. The European Union isn't paying 15% more on their goods. They sell them to us, and then we pay the tax. Like, I don't understand. I don't understand because I'm begging one reporter, just one, to ask Donald Trump how he thinks these tariffs work, because he acts like he's negotiating great deals when he's really just slapping flat taxes on all of us. It is insane to me that we keep giving him collectively praise for this. It's insane. But, whatever. Maybe you just don't care about things being more expensive. Maybe you're doing pretty okay economically. Maybe you're just, not what you really care about is what that money is going to be used for. Am I right? So, of course, we got to look at one of Donald Trump's personal pet projects that he's using your tax dollars on, right? Let's take a look. What's he doing? Oh, what will it cost to renovate the free Air Force One? Don't ask. So you guys remember how Qatar donated a gigantic airplane to Donald Trump to use as Air Force One? Well, fun fact about that aircraft, it's not, in fact, up to snuff for being Air Force One. In order to be up to snuff, it has to be refitted, basically from the ground up. So basically, they're just taking that plane, gutting it, and rebuilding it from the ground up to be Air Force One. And, well, you might think that's pretty interesting, but let's just take a look here at how much this costs. Let's see here. It's no surprise that one of Washington's biggest guessing games these days is assessing just where the price tag will end up, on top of the $4 billion already being spent on the wildly behind schedule presidential planes that Boeing was supposed to deliver last year. It was those delays that led Mr. Trump to look for a gift. That's so crazy. Well, how much might it cost? Let's see. In a testimony before Congress in June, Troy E. Meinke, the Air Force Secretary, said that he thought the cost of the Air Force One renovations would be manageable. I think there has been a number thrown around on the order of $1 billion, but a lot of those costs associated with that are costs that we'd have experienced anyway. We just experienced them early. So we believe the actual retrofit of that aircraft is probably less than $400 million. If so, that would be a bargain. Oh, but engineers and Air Force experts who have been through similar projects have their doubts that it will be accomplished for anything like that price. Members of Congress expressed concern that Mr. Trump will pressure the Air Force to do the work so fast that sufficient security measures are not built into the plane. So we have a number that is about $1 billion, maybe $400 million on a good day. But here's the thing. That plane has been temporarily assigned the Air Force One, right? So for $400 million, in the best case scenario, almost $500 million for this plane, they are going to retrofit it. Let's assume it's somewhere in the middle. Let's say $700 million, $750 million. They're going to need to spend years refitting this plane. But when Donald Trump leaves office, the plane gets automatically donated to the Trump Presidential Library Foundation, at which point it needs to be refitted again to be a civilian craft, i.e., it then needs to be gutted and rebuilt again. So whatever this is going to cost double. If it winds up costing $1 billion, it's going to cost another $1 billion to retrofit it again. Your hardworking tax dollars are going to duplicate work for no reason so that Donald Trump can accept a bribe from Qatar. Like that's what's happening here with your tax dollars. The amount of graft in this administration is ridiculous. Absolutely ridiculous. Well, you know, you might be tempted to say, well, you know, the United States does a lot of good things too. I mean, like, we fund cancer research after all, don't we? Look at all the good we've done with our pharmaceutical industry. You sweet goddamn summer child. It turns out that the Trump administration has destroyed that effort. Any kind of cancer research that is going to be going on in the United States from here on out under the Trump administration is basically hamstrung. The Russell Vought, one of the guys who's doing all of the hiring and firing for the Trump administration these days, one of the guys behind Project 2025, is making sure to systematically deny funding to cancer research operations that have been ongoing across the United States for years, because they're calling these studies woke. Hey, chat, is it woke to fund cancer research? Is it woke to find a cure for goddamn cancer? Apparently, to the Trump administration, it is. Next time one of your family members gets cancer or you find out you have cancer, next time you're looking around for experimental therapies and drug trials to participate in to potentially save your life, guess what? They're not going to be happening thanks to Donald J. Trump. Cool. Awesome. Now explain to me how this helps anyone in America. How does it help anyone in America to just let them suffer and die from cancer rather than recover and continue to be productive members of society? I mean, even if you are like a conservative, how does you dying from cancer or your loved ones dying from cancer help the rest of the country? I see you jackasses in my comments all the time talking about how, like, they're making America great again. Blah, 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 blah. Like, how is your mom dying from cancer going to make America great exactly? I want you to explain to me. How's your dad dying from prostate cancer going to help America be great? How are you dying from, like, lung cancer? How is that helpful? Explain. Survival of the fittest, bro. Cancer doesn't give a shit about the fittest. You're gonna die just like the rest of us in massive amounts of pain because you don't got the ability to get the medical care. How does scaring scientists away from the United States, how does moving them to other countries help us? Like, even if your stated goal is making America great, how does scaring away scientists, scaring away people who want to do labor, who want to build lives here, how does that help? Exactly. How does it help to send away some of the smartest minds on the planet? It doesn't, is the thing. And I think we all kind of know that. Also, incidentally, Russell Vaught's own child benefited directly from government cancer research and government research on cystic fibrosis. This man had his daughter's life saved by the research done by the US government and funded by the US government, and he's trying to burn it down so that daughters who are exactly like his will suffer and die. That is how evil this man is. He got his, fuck you, go die like a worm, because that's how he sees you. That's how the entire Republican establishment sees you. It's truly sickening, right? Incidentally, guys, there was an initiative in the United States called the Cancer Moonshot that was founded with the idea and the aspiration to halve the number of deaths by cancer by the year 2047. That initiative is dead. Congrats to the pro-cancer nation, the United States. Are we great yet? Is it great to have elected officials in Florida trying to obtain the names of people who went to a show that the state disagrees with? That's what's happening, by the way, over in Florida. GOP Attorney General subpoenas bar to hand over list of people who watched a drag show. The bar owner says the show was tame and the state's drag ban has been blocked by a federal judge. So despite the fact that everything that this bar owner did was legal, because the state disagrees with the legal activity being done inside of the bar, they are requesting all of the names of the people who signed up to go so that the state can investigate and discriminate against them. Hey, what do we call it when, I don't know, how might we feel about this if the state was demanding, say, a list of everyone who attended a given church? What might we say about a list of people who attended a Bible study? Pretty interesting, right? It feels a little bit different when we start talking about it in that capacity. But for some reason, when it's a secular institution, a lot of Republicans just say, fuck yeah, let's get all of their names. Why do you need the names of people doing what they want to do on private property? There's no criminal prosecution here. There's no alleged criminal activity. They just want the names of people who went to this event. There's a name for something like this. There's a name for a type of government that does this. But a lot of conservatives don't want to say that name, and they don't want to believe what is happening, and would rather put their heads in the sand or say, haha, it's so funny. The bar in question is a venue title called The Kilted Mermaid. Also, interestingly enough, it's located in a town called Vero Beach, and it is owned by the vice mayor of the town. So, in a sense, this is, it's pretty interesting how this is also kind of enmeshed within the local political scene of Florida. So, I don't know. Seems like another way things are going bad in Trump's America when the government is trying to strong-arm private business owners into turning over lists of people who frequented that business. Seems odd, in fact. I don't know. Seems like maybe it's bad, even.
The pink scare is the new red scare. Have you now or have you ever been a member of the LGBTQ community?
I mean, it is it is very similar. We're getting like a new lavender scare for sure. Hey, you want to know another thing that's happening? You know how there are a bunch of hospitals that are closing in rural areas right now because the Trump administration just passed a budget that effectively guts the entire method that they use to be able to, hold their doors open and like actually operate, because Medicaid is like the lifeblood of what allows rural hospitals to exist. The hospitals that Republicans need to go to when they are sick and injured predominantly. Well, guess what? Guess what, everyone? You're in luck. There's private equity that's buying up those hospitals. Yay! The private equity firms are here to buy the hospitals and keep them open for a little while. For a little while. Medical Properties Trust buys up the hospitals and then leases them back to the healthcare systems. Dozens of its hospitals have gone belly up. So basically what this company does, and this Mother Jones article goes into some pretty great depth, and I'll link it here for you guys. Basically, they come in, they buy a failing hospital, then they lease it back to the city or town that it's in.
My eyes just popped out of my head. My mom's used to live there, and the Kilted Mermaid is where I went to my first drag show. WTF. Thank you truly for covering that.
Ivory Valentine, of course, and thank you for the $10 dono. I really appreciate it. They're going after everyone. It's not just like liberals, it's not just socialists, it's not just communists, it's not just like centrists, it's not just even conservatives. It's every goddamn person in this country these people want to go after. But what happens is these hospitals go belly up. This company comes in, reopens them while leasing it back to the city or state or hospital system, keeps it open, but then just jacks up prices, cuts pay, cuts benefits, sees how long it can keep these things open until they shut them down. And that is what's kind of happening. It's like they are squeezing the last gasp of life out of these dying rural hospitals before finally taking them out behind the woodshed and killing them for good. That is what's happening to our rural healthcare system. And it's going to get a lot worse in the next year and a half. This is ramping up in frequency. Okay? Because guess what? This has been happening for a while now. When we talk about this didn't just start happening this year. This process has been going on for a while, but given the massive closure of rural hospitals as a result of losing Medicaid, this process is going to massively speed up, and you're going to see a lot of these hospitals being bought, reopened, and then permanently shuttered. That is simply what is going to happen here. Additionally, hey, what about... I mean, at least we still have like voting rights, right? Like, at least, if you're old and elderly or your legs don't work too good, at least you can still like make it to the polls and vote. Wrong. You see, the Trump appointed judges and conservatives in our judicial system have ruled that, in fact, if the state discriminates against you on the basis of your disability when it comes to getting votes, being able to vote, you actually have no legal recourse. This is just kind of insane, right? This is directly downstream from gutting the Voting Rights Act. But voters can't sue for disability discrimination. This is according to the 8th Circuit Court of Appeals, right? So essentially what they're saying is that if you are in a red state or in a state that doesn't have accessible voting, doesn't have ways to for you to actually get to the polls and vote, the only way for you to sue for your right to vote is to actually get the state's attorney general to sue on your behalf. And if you are disabled and you're in a conservative state with a conservative attorney general, good fucking luck. Because guess what? They don't want you to vote. If you're a conservative elderly person, they don't want you to vote. If you're a conservative person with a disability, they don't want you to vote. Their entire position on this is to disenfranchise the disabled. That is the reason this is being put forward in the first place. It's truly incredible. The Eighth Circuit Court of Appeals ruled on Monday that private citizens have no standing to sue for disability-based violations of the Voting Rights Act of 1965. The Eighth Circuit jurisdiction covers Arkansas, Iowa, Minnesota, Missouri, Nebraska, North Dakota, and South Dakota, meaning voters in those states will no longer have any direct remedy when those rights are violated. All but one of the Eighth Circuit's 11 judges were appointed under Republican administrations, including 4 Trump appointees in the president's first term. Thanks, Republicans. If you're a Republican and you're elderly and have mobility issues or visual issues that prevent you from reading clearly, guess what? If your state doesn't accommodate you, you can just get fucked. That's what the Eighth Circuit Court of Appeals just ruled. Now, luckily, if you live in a blue state, you might be able to get your attorney general to sue on your behalf. But if you're in a red state, they just took away your right to vote. Yeah, the article even points this out. Only state attorney generals themselves, the court ruling holds, can act to enforce the Voting Rights Act and prevent violations, not in the case of states with notoriously poor voting rights records, very likely. But yeah, are we great again yet, America? Is it great to prevent the disabled from voting? To prevent the elderly from voting? Is that great? Hey, so you know all that money, well, you know, at least your tax dollars are going to like helping, I don't know, victims of natural disasters, right? Like at least when you give money, like when you're paying your taxes, at least that some of that money is going to like saving people from natural disasters, housing them and like feeding them when like the shit truly hits the fan when it comes to like tornadoes or hurricanes or floods or fires. You know, all that stuff, right? At least some of your tax dollars are helping that, right? Well, actually, no. So FEMA, the government organization that would usually use its money to hand out, you know, the ability to live to people in natural disaster zones, is actually using that money instead to build concentration camps, you know, where they can put up cages and tents and give a lucrative contract to a private prison corporation and do its best to like torture and force these people to do labor against their will in a kind of like slave camp system. So, you know, at least your tax dollars are going to enterprising young business people who want to start up a private concentration camp company. You know, you're helping entrepreneurs to utilize slave labor. Is that making America great again? Is that making America great again? Also, fun fact: they can detain you without a trial, even if you're not, even if you are a U.S. citizen. So, hey, if you're conservative and you just kind of look like some of the guys they're looking for, you know, you know what I mean by that, don't you? You know what I mean by that, don't you? Well, the Florida State Patrol certainly knows what I mean by that because they're just arresting anyone who looks vaguely Hispanic and then sending them to a concentration camp in the Everglades. 90% of those people who are in that alligator Auschwitz camp, alligator Alcatraz, have not committed a crime. Are we great yet? Are we going to be great when some masked ICE agent abducts you or your kids or your parents and sends them to one of these facilities and doesn't tell you what happened to them? In one of the cases we talked about not too long ago, ICE abducted an elderly man and then told his family that he was dead. And it turned out he wasn't dead when they found out months later that he was still alive. They could literally disappear you, tell your family that you died, and then do whatever they want with you. Does that make America great again? I don't know. I'm just asking questions here. Hey, you know, is it good? Is it good, chat, when the general trend for the last 30 years or so, 35 years, is a massive spike in the accumulation of wealth in the top 0.1% of society? Is that good? Is it good from going to the point where the bottom 50% have at least over 50% of the wealth to the point where the bottom 50% have a quarter of the wealth of the top 0.1%? Does that make America great? Does having oligarchs make America great? I don't know. Kind of seems like it doesn't, right? Kind of seems like it just fills our country with a bunch of rich dipshits that don't do much. Also, oh, hey, this is interesting. Here's a statement from Amy Grant. Let's take a look here. On Wednesday night, during a concert at a Nashville area church, Amy Grant made a phone call to Republican Senator Bill Hagerty's office on speakerphone, and she left a voicemail. Hi, Senator Hagerty. Hi, this is Amy Grant, she said. I'm standing on stage singing to over 1,000 people, and I wanted to speak on behalf of all of us to say that President Trump's budget suggests that funding for PEPFAR should be cut by 50% this year. We want you to know that here in Nashville, we want to see full funding for PEPFAR so we can stay on track to end the HIV/AIDS epidemic by 2030. Now, if you don't know what PEPFAR is, guys, well, it is the effort in the United States and abroad to essentially eliminate HIV and AIDS, to end the epidemic. And up till now, because we funded this PEPFAR program, we've actually been getting closer and closer and closer to that point. We're only 5 years away from it. And hey, wouldn't you know it, fun fact for all of you, this was published in Christianity Today, not a publication that we highlight a lot on this program, but you know what? Kind of indicates that this might have something to do with Republicans too. Also, just want to point this out. We're really genuinely on the verge of being able to end HIV and AIDS as an epidemic. Genuinely. Like, it's not like a 5 years away type pie in the sky goal. It's genuinely like earlier this month, they approved a 100% effective HIV prevention drug. In the US, the FDA has approved the novel lenacapavir, sold under the brand name Yeztugo, a class of drugs known as capsid inhibitors, which provide almost 100% protection against HIV infection, which currently affects 1.3 million people every year. In 2024, the journal Science named lenacapavir the breakthrough invention of the year. And hey, guys, here's just an illness, a scourge that has ruined countless lives, that has literally decimated an entire generation of people. And we have the ability to just straight up stop it from spreading. Just straight up. We can effectively eliminate this. And the Trump administration is still trying to eliminate this stuff. They're still trying to eliminate it. And it's whether or not this program survives is currently very much up in the air, considering that they are still grinding an axe to try and destroy this program. They are still trying to destroy this program that has the potential to save over 1 million lives every year. Now, you might say, well, I mean, okay, a lot of that is bad, but, surely, what about global warming, right? I know Donald Trump talks a big game about, bringing back fossil fuels and stuff, but that's all for the economy, right? We're still going to put a lot of money into efforts to bring down the global temperature, right? Surely Republicans don't just want to cook the planet alive. It's from earlier this week. Trump's EPA wants to eliminate regulation for greenhouse gases, which I want to say, that sounds insane just on the headline of it. But if you actually go down into it, it's worse than that. The EPA argues it doesn't have the legal authority to regulate greenhouse gases. The agency proposes to undo the government's endangerment finding, a determination that pollutants from developing and burning fossil fuels, such as methane and carbon dioxide, can be regulated under the Clean Air Act. So, to summarize how this is even stupider than the headline would actually bring you to believe, they are trying to say they want to undo the finding that greenhouse gases are harmful to individuals and the environment. This is like breaking your leg and then telling the doctor who's diagnosing you that you want to ignore their findings about your broken leg and you're just going to walk out of here just fine. They think they can just undo science Essentially, yes. They are saying we will undo the finding that this is harmful and then just continue to do the harmful thing and pretend that there are no ill effects. Sure, the planet will continue to get hotter and we will do nothing to mitigate that, but surely there will be no bad consequences from that down the line. This is genuinely a don't believe your lying eyes moment. They want to strip the EPA of its ability to regulate greenhouse gases, the ability to essentially throttle down our emissions so that we can reach a point where our current Earth remains habitable. Now, you might be a conservative and say, well, I mean, the Earth will still be habitable. Oh, God. Yeah, but also if you're a conservative, understand global warming means mass groups of displaced people. You guys already hate immigrants now. You guys are going to hate immigrants even more when there are exponentially more of them displaced by natural disasters, sea level change, arid conditions, etc. You're like, this isn't going to get better for you.
This is not the cookout I wanted to be invited to. I am at least enjoying the everlasting roast of Republicans as they continue to be wrong about everything.
Indeed, Thistles for Eyes. Thank you for the $5 dono. So understand that this is just like an effort to like poison the planet so that the rich and powerful can get richer and more powerful. That is what this is at heart. Remember that chart I showed you just a little bit ago? This chart? Well, what they want to do is make this green line go up even higher, even if it means some of you die. They're happy to do that. And that isn't all that's hidden in this happy-go-lucky article, of course. Let's take a look at one other part of it. The EPA also plans to eliminate rules to reduce climate pollution from cars and trucks. Hey guys. Hey, if you're conservative, is it good to inhale the exhaust of your car? Is it good to just like, I don't know, close your garage door and inhale the car fumes? No. That will actually kill you. Now imagine more and more of that is done every single day into the air you breathe and into the atmosphere of this planet. Is that good? Is it good that the toxic air that you cannot breathe is going out into the world all day, every day by the vehicles we use? Do you guys remember a little phenomenon called acid rain and rivers being on fire? That was actually a thing about 50 years ago. Let's take a couple of looks. Luckily, one of the first things that the EPA did was take images of how the environment looked pre-EPA. Here's New York City, a smoldering trash heap. Oh, look at this, a waterway in Georgetown, Washington, D.C. You know, what rivers used to look like before the EPA when they just were brown from all of the raw sewage. Wasn't that fun? When your rivers and waterways were just straight up shit, literally. Or, hey, what about this one? This is a chemical plant that is referred to by a name I do not feel comfortable saying, because it was the 1970s and it's now 2025. But, they would just build this right next to a goddamn community. And it turns out that smoke these plants were putting up in the air, not good for people to breathe. Crazy. I know, but it's bad to inhale the fumes from a chemical plant. Oh, hey, you want to, you know something else? Hey, you know what else the EPA did? It made it illegal to open an arsenic factory right next to a town, which is what was happening pre-EPA. That giant smokestack right there is smelting arsenic into the air these local people were breathing. I just want y'all to know that rolling back regulations on this just paves the way for more of that to happen. There was literally a time when there were so many chemical pollutants in our waterways that the water would light on fire. And I think a lot of people just don't know that these days. Look at how LA has improved the air quality.
Started the EPA, right? Imagine being such a asterisk 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 up president. You make Nixon look good.
Yep.
Do you think that warms Nixon's heart as he looks up from hell?
Probably not. Air quality days by year. God. Total unhealthy hazardous air days in 1980, 287, and now in 2024 down to 133. You literally have 100 more days to spend outside every year because of the work put in to make it safe to breathe oxygen in those cities. I think a lot of people just don't think that oh, the air is just always okay to breathe. No, it's not actually. But, maybe you're a conservative who doesn't need air or clean water. Maybe it's just not important to you. But you know what is fun? The IRS. Look at that. That's Donald Trump's chief of the IRS. Getting rid of the direct file system. That was the free way for you to easily and for free file your taxes. From here on out, guess what, losers? You now have to pay a company like TurboTax or an accountant to do your taxes for you. Congrats. It just got way more expensive to do your taxes. Yay. Are we great yet? Also, you might have noticed the second part of this headline here. Other audit tech is coming. I wonder what that other audit tech might be. Don't worry, I read the article earlier. It's AI. They're going to use AI to see who needs to be audited. And guess what? It's going to be you guys. It's going to be people like you. It's going to be people like me. It's going to be poor people. Because the IRS doesn't want to audit rich people under Donald Trump. Are you a conservative in a trailer park who has a lot of tipped income? Guess what? They're going to come after you. Congrats. Do you feel great yet? Do you feel great? Also, hey, do you guys remember here? I don't know, maybe a couple months ago, there were stories circulating in the news about how there was a white genocide happening in South Africa. And despite the fact that Donald Trump has said we aren't going to let in any more refugees, they opened a limited refugee program for people from South Africa. Do you guys remember that? Well, it turns out someone asked whether or not non-white people from South Africa could come here through that program. The answer was no. This is a program only for white people from South Africa. Because it's a racist program. Because there isn't actually a white genocide happening in South Africa. There's crime, but guess who disproportionately gets targeted in that crime? Black South African farmers. When they talk about the killings of white South African farmers, they conveniently leave out the black South African farmers, who also get targeted for these crimes. But for some reason, aren't allowed in on this asylum program, or refugee program, rather. So strange, so bizarre. Are we great? Is this greatness? Is fabricating these stories great? I don't know. I don't think so. But I'll leave you guys to come to your own conclusions. In my opinion, this is Donald Trump and his fascist cadre of miscreants making America suck. And defecating all over the very concepts America stands for in its best moments. So with that being said, we did a segment. Like, comment, and subscribe.
Riverboat Jack is coming to town. All the viewers gather round. Twitch and YouTube and swishy streams. All that content is bursting the seams. Politics, gaming, and plenty more. Your sense of fashion you'll adore. So grab your stuff and hop aboard.